Hello and welcome to Berry Aftercare. Oh, I'm your host, Dr. Connie Stapleton, and I have a friend with me tonight, and I'm going to see if we can figure out how to get her onto the screen. And there she is. Hi, Tonimarie.
Hi, Connie.
It's good to see you. I'm going to tell everybody why you're here, and then we are going to talk about you and your phenomenal progress. So, how long, first of all, last week we started the year and I told everybody on the podcast and in the videos that I was going to be doing some different things this year. I've never interviewed anybody for the podcast before, and you are the first person that came to my mind. And the reason you came to my mind is because last week you know how I am, fair and firm. I'm not gonna pull any punches with anybody, and I'm gonna just kind of invite people to give it to me straight. And I was talking about how this whole process requires so much effort, right? Commitment, dedication, effort. And I said, I know two people that last year have lost at least 50 pounds of their regain. And you were one of those two people. And I thought, I'm going to see if Tonimarie would come on and share with us her journey through that. So, what I'm going to do is this will probably take two of our events. So, I'll stop us at about 30 minutes and then we can pick up and carry on our conversation. How's that sound to you?
Sounds good.
Excellent. So, first of all, when did you have your first surgery? First bariatric surgery, or your only bariatric surgery? My bad.
Right. Yeah, I only had one surgery, and it was March 28th, 2008.
2008. So that's 13 years ago. Wow. So when did I meet you?
Oh, I would probably say maybe 2009. I would say it
Okay.
was the year after my surgery, probably,
All
is
right.
when I started doing OH stuff. So,
Okay. So if you don't know what OH is Obesity Help. It's a
Mhm.
great organization. And I was fortunate enough to be able to speak at a lot of their events several years ago. And I met Tonimarie. And so we would see each other on a regular basis and have had some amazingly intimate and vulnerable conversations. And she's just an amazing woman. So I wanted to bring her on. So when you initially, and you tell me if anything is like, I'd rather not share that information. All right. Because, this is your journey. I want to respect your privacy. But if you're comfortable talking about, your weight journey up to the point you had surgery.
so I didn't start gaining weight until my late 20s, I would say. I was a little chunky, but I was pretty active. I walked everywhere because I didn't get my license until late, early 20s. So I was pretty active. And then once I got my license, I didn't really drive. I drove, but I didn't really get active. But I put on a lot of weight. I was eating junk food and stuff. And I got probably my highest weight was close to 300 pounds. I was always miserable, in pain because of the weight and everything, and I couldn't get it off. I mean, I did everything from Jenny Craig to Slim Fast to Weight Watchers, and it just got to a point where I just couldn't get the weight off. I mean, I tried, and it just wasn't happening. Um, and I just got frustrated and tired of it. And then I found people that, had gone to doctors and had weight loss surgery. So I was speaking to them, and then I decided to look into it. And then that's when I started my journey. Um,
Can I
and
ask you a
I,
question?
sure.
So when you would make these efforts to lose weight with all the fad diets, which everybody typically does, would you lose some weight and plateau and then get frustrated, or was your body just being stubborn and holding on to weight and you wouldn't lose any weight, or what was the journey there?
So I would lose weight. I would lose, say, 20 pounds, gain it back. I wasn't I'm not one to log. I was not one that wanted to write down stuff. I would go to Weight Watchers, but again, I wouldn't be structured to sit for a meeting. I would start off, yeah, going to the meetings, but I didn't want to stay in the meetings. So I wouldn't, attend the meetings. I would go in, weigh, leave, do what I need to do. Um, but it's a mind game, right? So your mind
Mhm.
talks you into whatever you wanted to do. So if you want to cheat, you cheat. No.
Right.
So that's a lot of what my problems were. I think it was about 2005. I followed a Mediterranean diet.
Okay.
So I bought a book, and it was called the Hampton Diet, and it was really good. I lost 70 pounds. It was
Wow.
basically no carbs, really, or if it was carbs, it was a very low carb. I did it from January to May. And I
Okay.
was really strict with it. I followed whatever was in the book, meats, some vegetables. The vegetables were like the no carb vegetables, so I couldn't have like corn and stuff like that. You could
Sure.
have fruits, but again, the low carb fruits. I did really good. I exercised. I bought a mini trampoline. I was on it.
Nice.
I did it like in my living room, watching TV or listening to music. I started off doing 15, 20 minutes in the morning. I would do a half an hour at night, and I was like
Okay.
really structured. And I lost 70 pounds in like 5 months, and it was really good. Everything was great. I went to a Memorial Day get together, and I got cocky, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to try some, desserts. I've been really good. Look at all the weight I lost." And just that slippery slope. That was it.
Okay. So
Then I just started eating again. So,
would it be fair to say that that was a case of, and the reason I'm asking this question is because I think it's a fairly common phenomenon from what I've gathered, in these many years of doing evaluations and talking with patients is it's either or all in or all out. I'm in or I'm out.
yes and no.
Okay.
So I think yes at that time.
Okay.
You had to be.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, even I want to say during bariatric surgery.
We'll get back to
So
that.
yeah, I will get back to not having to be that way now.
Mhm.
When we get to that point.
Yeah.
So I'll
So
explain that. But
how long did it take to regain the weight after that Memorial Day event?
I want to say probably within 6 months to a year, I was back up to where I had been.
Okay.
Because sweets are, you're gonna just keep eating them. It's if you're not structured and you can't control your portions or control how much you're eating,
Mhm.
it's just dangerous.
And that's very consistent with what the research shows, which is 95% of people who lose a significant amount of weight like you did, within 5 years, they're gonna be within 5 pounds of where they started.
Right.
So, that's without surgery.
And I can't really say. I don't remember what I was when I went into weight loss surgery. Now, when you go into weight loss surgery, you're on a liquid diet, so you have to lose some weight before you go into the surgery. I
Mhm.
can't remember what I was when my starting weight was. I know what my starting weight was when I left the hospital.
Okay.
But unfortunately, when I left the hospital, um, I had a little bit of an advantage because I had complications. So, where somebody would leave a hospital after 2 days, I was in the hospital for 11 days.
Wow.
Um, yeah.
And she calls
So,
that an advantage.
so the reason why I had an advantage is because I was sick and I lost a lot of weight
Sure.
because I had so the day after my surgery, when you go for the leak test, I was in severe pain, and it wasn't from the surgery because I did have um, the what do you call it? I can't say it. The I didn't wasn't cut, so I had the
Oh, okay, laparoscopic.
yeah, laparoscopic. So I had laparoscopic, but the problem was that we found out after doing like 4 leak tests that my intestines inflamed, and
Mm,
that was called ileus. So I had ileus where I had to be rushed in that night for surgery.
Wow.
They had to do whatever they had to do for my intestines because they inflamed. And then that surgery caused me, because of my intestines being inflamed, he couldn't do laparoscopic because he would have punctured my intestines, so I had to be cut open. So
Wow.
yeah, so because of that, I had been cut. So then I was in the hospital for that, and then about 2 days later, I ended up having C. diff. C. diff is
Poor
very
girl.
bad.
So, C. diff is an infection, right? It's a
Yeah,
bacterial
yeah,
infection.
yes,
It is
very bad.
very painful, causes extreme amount of diarrhea.
Yes. Yes, so I was running to the bathroom. I had to, like, try as much as possible to get out of bed quickly.
Oh,
Um,
no.
but because of that,
Mm,
um, I lost a lot of weight,
yeah,
fast.
yeah.
But that didn't stop my journey. When I got home, now I'm trying to get into the diet because now, by that time I got home, I was on liquid diet. I was on soft foods because now I went through the whole liquids phase because I
Sure.
was in the hospital so long. So
How long were
I
you
went
in the
on.
hospital?
What was that?
How long were you in the hospital?
I was in the hospital 11 days.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
I actually begged to go home
Oh,
because after 2 weekends in the hospital, because I went in surgery on a Friday, and I was just like, I didn't go home until, like, April, say, 11th or something like that, and I was like, "I want to go home."
for
I'm
sure.
like, "What you're doing here, you can give me medication. I don't wanna be in the hospital anymore." So the doctor finally released me. I had to take an oral, antibiotic, which was like poison. It was the
Mm.
most disgusting thing, and you couldn't get it. I had to have my sister contact a pharmacist who she was friends with to get it for me because it was not something that you can normally get, and she had to work her magic to get it for me. But then when I went home, I was sick for almost 2 months, and I couldn't keep food down. They found that after doing a bunch of testing that I had a stricture. So,
Gosh.
yeah.
Were
So,
you at this point were you wondering, "What the heck have I done?"
yeah. It was rough, but I mean, that's why I said it too. Is my advantage, the weight came off pretty quickly than a normal person because it was coming, I had it coming from, one way and then the other way when I got home. So the weight was
Did
just
you
coming
have
off because I couldn't keep any food
did you have
down.
to be off work for forever?
I went back to work. I can't remember like how long. I probably was out for. I was out on disability probably for, I would say, about 2 or 3 months. I went
Wow.
back. I remember going back to work in like June, and then I was doing the outpatient. They did endoscopies for ballooning to open up my stricture, and they thought they wouldn't do three. They did two.
Okay.
And then after that, I felt so much better because then I
Oh
was able to keep, food down and stuff. But yeah, that was not a pretty pretty
oh
thing.
my gosh. Yeah, that's quite
So
an quite a
I
journey.
had very exception to the normal bariatric R&Y procedure.
Yes, sure.
I never regretted it. I wanted the sleeve. That's the only thing I regretted. I knew I didn't want lap band,
Mhm.
and I didn't get approved for the sleeve because back then the sleeve had just come out,
Yeah.
and the insurance companies weren't approving it, unless you were really, really, really overweight, and I wasn't meeting that criteria. But when I left the hospital, I was 267 pounds. I
Okay.
remember that. So if you think about my weight loss, I can't remember what I was, but that 70 pounds got me, like, say, I want to say that I was probably in the say two 220s, 230s. So at that point, I was already up to 267. So you could see I had gained a lot back at that
Sure.
point.
Sure.
And
Right.
that was even with me being in the hospital after the surgery, so I already had lost about
Mhm.
20 pounds being in the hospital,
Exactly.
so,
Sure.
I had gained it all back.
Right. Then what was your journey after that? How did you do following the recommended, food plan from your bariatric dietitian? Were you diligent with it?
Um,
Were you lax with it? Were you exercising?
So I found it challenging to try and get the protein in. I struggled with things that like a lot of people do, like what agrees with you, what don't agree with you. Trying to re get myself acclimated back to what tastes good, especially because I had so many problems with um, the C. diff and all the other things that I just had to find my way to like food again, especially because of smells. Because when you had C. diff, your smell was so intense that everything made me nauseous.
Mm,
So I had struggles with that, but you know, I didn't eat. I tried to eat a little bit of fish to get some protein in, but overall I did pretty good. I reached out to people, asked for
good.
suggestions. I was always going to support group. Um,
Excellent.
yeah, I was always Good Samaritan Hospital is where I had my surgery. They had a great support group. I went to it all the
Right.
time. Um,
Good. So that was
so
monthly?
yes, it was monthly. Yes,
Okay,
I believe it's
good. So you're
actually. I don't know if it was monthly or every other week. I think it was every other week back then.
nice,
Yeah, I
nice.
think it was every other week. I think we went every other week.
Okay,
But yeah, it was really, really good. I mean, and then I became with friends with people that were in the support group, so we would see each
sure.
other and talk to each other. So it worked out really good. I'm still friends with people today from that
Good.
support group. So
What I'm hearing is it was really important that you attended the support group and develop a support network outside of the support group.
yes,
Cool.
yes.
Okay.
Um, but overall, I had gotten down at least 100 pounds
Okay.
from that. And in when I went to my first obesity help conference the following year, that's when I met my now husband.
Wow, that's so
Um,
cool.
yeah, so I actually started from the weight loss surgery, able to meet somebody and date and get married. And again, meet a lot of friends from there who I still am friends with. So it became a very positive experience um, for me. Um, but then life goes on, and you get comfortable. Things happen. I mean, I got married. I tried to have children. I was in my late 40s when I got married. So that means I started trying to have children late in life, which brings me to I did fertility drugs to try and have children. That put me down a slippery slope. Yes, we did, my husband and I were both bariatric patients. He had the sleeve surgery in upstate New York. I had mine on Long Island. So totally different doctors and everything. But we had it actually the same year, but mine was in March, his was in October. Um, we actually supported each other, and were very good where we exercised together. We were doing things, very good. But then
For
you
how
also,
long? How long did you guys stick with that, sticking to and being diligent and
I would
exercise?
say, I would say up until we got married.
So,
So
okay.
once we got married and we got comfortable, we started,
So a couple of
moving,
years.
yeah, moving in together. So yeah, we met in 2009. We got married in 2011. So once we got married, and we started doing our married life, and I tried to get pregnant. I was on fertility drugs, and they were very high dosages, very high dosages. And I would get the cravings because of the fact that when you're on these hormone drugs, you're going to go through all those, hormonal things. And so, what I do, I turn to going through food, food,
Mhm.
sugar, whatever it was. And, every time I was thinking I was pregnant, I would get my cycle. And I went through 12 IUIs. um,
Wow.
and everyone failed. And then I went to go on my 13th to an IVF, and I couldn't even get into an IVF cycle. At the same time, my husband was actually trying to be supportive, so he turned to also eat, with me. If I ate something sweet, he would eat something sweet, just because of the tension of everything we were going through. Um, so I finally told,
Just a second.
sure.
So, getting settled into marriage, getting comfortable, getting relaxed about, having your person and being happy, and so kind of slacked off from what you had been doing, and then you are faced with this enormous amount of stress. And people tell me that stress is the number one thing that leads to regain. So here you are in all of that, right? Tremendous
Yep.
amounts of stress. You're both regaining. All right.
Yep. Um, and then, so long story short, I didn't get pregnant, but the damage already happened, right? I went through a year of doing all this fertility drugs, all this, started gaining weight, and not getting pregnant. I gave up. I told the doctor I couldn't do this. It was a lose lose situation for me. I was gaining weight. I
Were
wasn't
you
getting pregnant.
depressed? Were you depressed?
Emotionally, um, probably partly, yes. It just took a toll on me. I mean, it was, now it's 2012 and I couldn't get pregnant, and I just needed to take a break. Mentally, I just couldn't do
Well,
it.
sure.
Um, and then a year after that, my dad passed. So in
Like,
2013, my dad passed. He was sick and he just got worse. We
yeah,
knew it was going to happen someday, but it was a shock.
yeah.
So that happened. So it just, during that time, I was going to school. I was trying to get my bachelor's degree. So I was doing part-time school, full-time work. Um, so then in 2015, um, I had finished my degree. My dad, had already had passed. I told my sister as soon as I finished my degree that, actually, I'm sorry, in 2014, I had gotten my degree, and I had told my sister, as soon as I get my degree, I'm going to look to move south, um, because I didn't want my sister to have the burden of my mom by herself. My mom had lived in Florida with my dad, and my sister lived in Georgia at the time. And I said, I'm going to start looking for, jobs down south. So this way I'm closer to you, I'm closer to mom, and, you don't have all the burden of mom, like you had with mom and dad.
So
So
where was your weight at this time? Now you're 5 years out from surgery.
had gained, at that time, I would say I had gained back, at least, I want to say 25 pounds at that time. And it's hard to say because they say that you're going to gain at least 10%.
Yeah,
So I don't
there's a
know
normal weight.
where my
Yeah.
body was comfortable at that point. Like I had gotten married, so at that point I was about 20 pounds from my lowest weight. So I don't know if it was like that's where I was supposed to be.
Right, that's not I mean, that's really not bad, in 5 years.
Right.
Yeah,
Um,
it's pretty
and
normal.
then right. And then when so that was in 2014. And then 2015, we actually finally, well, 2014 at the end of December is when we finally moved. I finally got a position down, here in South Carolina, and my husband and I moved. Totally new state. We moved without knowing anybody.
Right,
um, my sister was in Georgia. My mom was in Florida, but my mother decided, she was moving to Georgia.
okay,
She wanted to be by my sister. So she had moved up and we moved down. But the time that I moved down, I had gained more weight. So now at this point, I was about 50 pounds
okay. So
above,
now you've
total
gained back.
above yeah, total above like where I was.
Right.
Um, But again, like, it didn't hit me. It's
Mhm.
weird because, like, you're like, "Okay, I'm gonna go down to a new state, it's gonna be warmer, you're gonna be active, you're gonna be doing things," and,
Let me
you
ask
just
you a few pointed questions because we're
Mhm.
kind of running out of time already for this segment. Um, how how much did it affect you that you were regaining this weight? Did it bother you? Did it not bother you? Were you just like you were just saying, "I'll get it off when we get down to the warmer climate"?
Yeah, I don't think it bothered me at all. Like, at that point,
Okay.
it wasn't like a shock or, "Oh my god." I think that it was like, "Okay, I know I've been through a lot, and I'm gonna focus once I get to my new state and my new job and, stuff like
I
that."
remember seeing you at a conference, and I guess we hadn't seen each other for a little bit of time because I said, "How are you doing?" And your response was, "Look at me." And you had regained quite a bit of weight. So what's the highest amount of regain that you got to?
So I wanna say that I gained back all the weight from where I was at the hospital.
Okay, and how many years, did that take place?
Um,
After
so it I I'm not really sure because, I wanna say that when I when I started in October of 2020, no, October of 2019 with the bariatric group here in South Carolina, that was where I was at my hospital weight.
okay,
So
2019.
yeah.
Okay, so now it is 2022. So it's just over 2 years ago, and what
Well,
was going
no,
on with you I'm sorry,
it's
go ahead.
not really 2 years. It was a year that I started the whole
Okay, alright.
process. So it's
So
really
what was going on with you emotionally when you realized
oh,
and what
I did.
kept you going? What made you say, "This is not acceptable for me"?
So when I was here, I was having problems with pain and stuff like that, and I had a feeling it was my gallbladder. I had a lot of scar tissue issues and stuff like that, and I was like, always had pain.
Mhm.
And I had to have surgery when I was in New York for scar tissue, and they had to
Ah,
remove it. So when I got here, I had a feeling that something was going on. I wasn't
mhm.
sure if it was scar tissue or something or my gallbladder. And I saw the bariatric group back then. I want to say it was about 2006.
Okay.
What are we in? 2016. I think I went to see them. And we talked about revision, but I didn't have coverage and insurance.
Mm,
So it turned out that after I went for an endoscopy and I saw the gastro doctor and everything, it turned out went for CAT scans and stuff, and yes, they did see that I had gallstones. So we
mm,
went for the gallbladder and stuff, and then finally, my husband's insurance had bariatric coverage. So I think it was in 2019 when I finally said, okay, since I can go on your plan now, let's see what's going on. Because I just got tired of the weight and I couldn't get it off myself. I was doing Weight Watchers here,
mm,
um, but it's just, it was again me. I don't want to log, right? I don't want to go to meetings. So I would join, get 20 pounds off, and give up.
okay.
So I finally got tired of seeing the scale keep going up, and I went to the bariatric group. They said, "Okay, let's let's go and do what it's." It wasn't like a drinking to check to see if I had leakage. It was to check my connections, make sure that everything looked okay, make sure that I didn't stretch my pouch, all of that.
Mhm.
And after I went through all that, the realization was I don't need a revision. There is nothing wrong with my pouch. There's nothing wrong with my connections. There was absolutely nothing wrong with anything to do with the surgery. It was to do with me, my habits, and everything that
Ooh.
Was so I had to come to the realization that I have to do something then about the way I'm eating, going back to basics, and how am I going to do this? So I was very fortunate because our bariatric group here has a very well known doctor called Dr. Cleek, Cleek. And he is very well known for his plan with the bariatric group. So I met with him, I did it virtual, and he said to me, I want you to get on a MyFitnessPal. I want you to start logging your food. I want you to go back to basics. He said, I want you to start first doing this,
Okay.
and then we'll take it to the next level if, once you prove to me.
All right. Very cool. We're going to do like they do in the soap operas, and we're going to do a cliffhanger. Is that Dr. John Cleek?
I'm sorry.
Is it John Cleek?
It might be. I can't remember his first name, but
Was he at Vanderbilt, do you know, before he came to South Carolina?
uh, I'm
Not
not
sure.
sure.
Yeah, if it is, we'll have to talk. I like him. Anyway, okay, so we're gonna wrap this up, and then for people to be able to hear about the journey you've been on and the basics you went back to and what you've been doing since then, they're going to have to be part of bariatric care, because the second live or the second video I do every week is on bariatric care. So I hope that you will join bariatric care. You can check out information about that at www.bariatriccare.com. And in the meantime, what I would just like us to wrap up with, Tonimarie, first of all, thank you so much for being so willing to share and be open. How much weight have you lost since you started putting forth the requirements of living a healthy lifestyle? A lot of effort. How much weight have you lost?
So I'm down 50 pounds right now.
That is so phenomenal. And are you super proud of yourself?
I am. I mean, I still have more that I want off for 2022, but
Right.
I'm happy to say that I log my food every day. I log my weight every day. I log my vitamins every day. I log my water every day. Um,
And
and
wouldn't you know, Tonimarie, that the number one researched tool for getting weight off and maintaining weight loss is exactly that, logging. All right, so we're going to wrap up this, and then we'll pick it back up and we'll do the second half of your interview, okay? All right, my
sounds good.
friends, thank you so much. Share this podcast with everybody you know, right? I mean, this is just great information, and it's providing so much hope that you can get this weight off. You can get back on track. You can do what you need to do. And it's maybe a benefit in the long run, because you really come to terms with the reality that the only way to do this is to put forth the effort. All right. In the meantime, it's your health, your responsibility this day and every day. Tonimarie, I'll hook back up with you in just a minute.
Great. Thank you.